Hey, good morning. My name's Chris. I'm gonna go over my coffee setup today. So I'm a bow hunter. I do a lot of camping, and I guide moose and bears up in Maine. And one of the most common things I get asked about is actually my coffee. I'm a little particular with how I make it, so I'm gonna go over my whole process today. I use an Aeropress, so the first thing you're gonna need is an Aeropress. It's like a little, or I should say a big syringe that presses the coffee through the filter and extracts it. You'll also obviously need coffee. I use whole bean coffee, and I grind it with a small hand grinder. That's a nice travel hand grinder. I can get nice consistent grounds with this grinder. This is a King grinder. I use a scale. I weigh my coffee, so that's one of the biggest things that people ask me about is why do I weigh it? How much do I use? That kind of thing. And then obviously you'll need water and a kettle, or at least some sort of means to heat it up. You can use, like I also use a MSR pocket rocket with just a small backpacking pot. If I have a bigger camp setup, I'll use my kettle and my white gas stove here. So some of the big things with coffee is getting good flavors out of it. And that all comes down to three things. It comes down to your beans and your grind size. So if you grind finer versus coarser, that will affect flavor. Your water temperature will affect flavor, and how long you steep the coffee in that water. So let's talk about the grounds first. If you grind finer grounds, you will get more extracted coffee if everything else stays the same. So if you over extract your coffee, it will be bitter. If you under extract your coffee, it will be sour. So if you've had coffee that's super bitter, maybe it was over extracted. If you've had it where it's got that like sour or tart flavors, it could be under extracted. So adjusting your grind size up and down can affect that. Now, the same goes for how long you steep that coffee for. If you over steep your coffee or over extract it, it's going to be bitter. If you don't have enough time in your steep or your brew time, it's going to be under extracted. You'll get those sour flavors. And then for the water, same thing applies. If it's too hot, you can get bitter flavors. If it's too cold, you can get those sour flavors. So I've kind of adjusted all these things over the last, I guess, several years, and kind of perfected how I like my coffee and the flavors that I really like. The roast I'm using today is it's a local roaster. This is a Rwanda coffee. It's a medium roast with the Aeropress especially. I like medium to lighter roasts, and that gives me the best flavor profile that I like. I've tried darker roast with this method, and it really brings out those like cooked ashy or burned flavors you get in those darker roasts, and I just don't like that. So I like the lighter roast. You get more of the coffee flavor, and you get more of those tasting notes like you read about on the package, like either chocolates or like nuttier flavors or even caramel. This is Earl Grey, jasmine, and lemongrass, so it's a little bit brighter tasting, but also at the same time still tastes like coffee, which is what I like. So before I get into it, again, the Aeropress likes a fine grind coffee, almost like an espresso grind, but a little bit coarser than an espresso grind. So that's what my grinder is set to. And then for my ratio, I do 16 grams of coffee to 250 grams of water. And that gives me a little bit under 8 ounces once you factor in the coffee absorbing the water, around 8 ounces, an 8 ounce cup. They make other Aeropresses that are bigger. They make an Aeropress XL. I have one of those. That's what I use in the house in my daily coffee. That makes about 15 ounces of coffee. But again, if you want to do the Aeropress XL, you would do 32 grams of beans to 500 grams of water. So those are my measurements. I'll include those in the notes, and you can kind of go off the recipe that I use. So we can get into it. So I weigh my beans, like I said, and I do that with my grinder. I take the collection hopper off the bottom, turn my scale on, and I'm going for 16 grams of coffee. Try to keep it from falling out here. So that's 15.5. Throw in a couple more beans. And I like to get right at 16 if I can. And there we go, right at 16. So from there, these will go into the grinder. Sometimes it helps if you have like a mister or a little spray bottle to give a quick little spritz to the beans. It helps keep them from sticking with static to the inside of the grinder. Sometimes it works really well, other times it doesn't matter. But when I'm at home, that's what I like to do. So the finer your grind is, the longer this will take. And also, obviously, the more beans you have, the longer this will take also. But really, it's not too bad, especially when you consider the quality of the coffee that you're getting. You feel it's starting to smooth out, so I believe I'm getting towards the end. Alright. So then I'll just give it a little tap tap. That settles the grounds, gets them out of the grinder. Nice clean grind. I'll double check it, make sure I got them all. Just about clean off the inside of the grinder. And there we go, 16. So now I'll take my Aeropress. This comes in 2 pieces. You have your syringe portion and your hopper portion. If you're going to do 250 grams of water, you really got to make sure this is towards the bottom. I do the inversion method, which is I brew upside down essentially. You just got to be really careful with this when you flip it over to press it out. I'll show you what I mean in a second. You don't want to separate these two because you'll have 200-degree water all over. So I'll tear my scale, dump my grounds into the Aeropress, and put this back together so I don't lose parts. So now you'll need the filter and the filter cap as well. These go together and they'll go on top once we're done brewing. So I'll tear my scale one more time, make sure we're at 0. And my water has been going here for quite some time, so you can see my kettle's starting to steam pretty good. That means we're at a boil. Now, I like to be around 205 to 210 degrees water temperature if you're really going to get nitpicky. Really, I just boil it, pull it off the heat, wait a few seconds, and then I'm ready to pour. So we're at 0 here. I'm going to go until I hit 250. Again, that's 250 grams. Now I know that's not usually a fluid measurement, but it's just a way for me to keep it consistent without messing with my scale too much. So there's 250 grams. We'll give it a stir. This is the stirring stick that came with the Aeropress. And we're going to make sure we're getting everything off the bottom and the sides. When you have those finer grind sizes, they like to stick together. So we're trying to break everything up here and make sure the water is able to extract it evenly. We want a nice even extraction. That will give you a balanced cup. So it's all mixed up there. I'm going to start my timer. My scale has a timer here. And then just to make sure I don't spill any, I'm going to take my cap. Again, the filter goes inside the cap. Sometimes you can wet it and that helps it stick, but really just flip it over screw it tight, and now you're good to go. So I'm at 20 seconds now. I'm gonna wait till 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's how long I like to steep my coffee for. The Aeropress comes with a funnel. This funnel is good for when you have small mugs. This is my Great Northern Quiver Company barrel tin cup. Great for camp, good for coffee in the morning, good for bourbon at night. Can't break it, that's why I like to camp with this. But anyways, the diameter of the filter is going to be bigger than this mug, so you use your funnel and it makes it a nice easy pour. And we're just about ready to flip. All right, so now we're good. Now we're going to dump it into the mug. Now it should stay put for the most part. See there, it kind of keeps it all in place. And now we're going to press it. So I'm going to keep firm pressure, moving down. Try to make sure you don't wiggle it, just because that can cause it to spill. So I'm going to keep pushing, nice and firm. We don't want to go too crazy. Like I said, we don't want to spill it or knock it over or make the cup slide out. And if you're using the ceramic mug, you want to make sure you don't push too hard because you can break the mug. The finer your grind will be, the more difficult it's going to be to push through. If you have a coarse grind, it'll be super easy, but your taste will tell you if you're too fine or too coarse. And I do what's called pushing to the hiss. Let's see if we can hear it. There's that quick little hiss. I push all the way through, kind of wring it out. Some people do that, other people don't. I just try to get as much out as I can, and it makes it easier when we throw it away. So now we'll just take our puck here that the coffee made. We can dump it in the garbage here. And that's it. Now we're nice and clean. In camp, I'll just wipe it down, put it back in my camp box. At home, I'll rinse it and then put it back in the cabinet. And yeah, so that's all I really got. This is a perfectly balanced tasting cup of coffee. This is my go-to, whether I'm in camp, if I'm at home. This is what I do every morning. So quick, simple, easy. Not a lot of downtime. You don't have to wait for like a drip coffee pot to brew its thing. So, enjoy. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So if this video helped you, let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know how you made out, or if you prefer another type of coffee. I'd like to hear about that as well. So drop a comment. Hit the like button, and hopefully this helped. Let me know if you'd like to see any other coffee types in the future too, and I'll go over other means and methods of making coffee. So enjoy your cup, good luck, shoot straight, and have a good one.